Okay, many thanks. I mean, just maybe to take up the Abendrot kind of saying, it's not a sunset industry, which is hopefully the case for our pension fund as well. We're also not experts, maybe. I just want to set the stage a bit. We are a pension fund, so we have to produce returns for our beneficiaries. So that's a prime obligation of a pension fund. And I would maybe refer to what Nicole has said, we did a bit our homework, and that's why we are sort of, in our DNA, we have implied already the sustainability focus from the beginning in 1984. So we are clearly value-based. We are a value-based investor in terms of sustainability. What we have asked ourselves with this wave of ESG coming to us in the last few years is, how do we make a distinction, or how can we preserve our USP as one of the leading or beginning or original investors in ESG? And we have come up with the notion of impact. So I want to maybe also explain a bit on that side. Impact, what does impact mean, and how can we actually classify impact? We came up with this tool that is called the Impact Management Project, which defines actually for investors 2 dimensions of impact. One impact is what the funds are actually impacting to the world, or the companies we invest in. What kind of impact do they have on the world? We have heard some of the impacts that are out there, for example, Craig's fund. And then the second dimension is, what do I as an investor, or we as investors, what kind of impact can we have on those companies, funds, or whatsoever? And I think what we as a pension fund did now, we have classified all our asset classes in which we are invested in that matrix. And when you do that, you actually find that in the liquid space, your contribution as an investor is actually not very meaningful. You can actually do some engagement, maybe with some of the funds that are present here, or you can basically vote in a company if you think that they do well or they don't do well. But that's limited to these 2 aspects of investor contribution and the impact. All the other impacts can only come in the illiquid space. So your capital only makes a difference in illiquid space. That's where I have an impact as an investor if I give money to people that actually need my money. If I invest in Nestle, they don't need my money. I buy it from you and you sell it to someone else. So the impact as an investor in liquid space is limited. In illiquid areas, it's much more broader in a sense. And then obviously you have to look at the other dimension, and that's maybe where I can sort of comment a bit on what we have seen so far. The Impact Management Project defines basically 3 distinct dimensions. It says basically there's an A dimension where people just want to do no harm. It's a bit the Google slogan, but that's the value, the exclusion approach, where you say, okay, we don't own this or that, we have some values, but that's about it. I see that maybe a bit more in the neuron space, where we have certain exclusions, but that's about it. Then we have the B segment, where you actually want to contribute positively by maybe avoiding worse companies in certain sectors. You buy the best-in-class type of companies. You try to focus on people who do a bit more resource-efficient behavior, who contribute in that sense and have some impact to some stakeholders and to some targets. I would see maybe osmosis as a contributor in that B space, if you want. Maybe also Tundra to some extent, because they focus on areas where best practice examples are needed, where engagement is possible with companies. And then we have the C space, where actual solutions to actual problems are funded specifically. And I would maybe classify Prestige, or say the biogas ideas he has, that's actually money going to fund problems that need capital, and where the capital provided is actually helping to solve, in this case, energy problems.